Hi everyone, I am Leo Babauta from Zen Habits, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to stick to a morning routine if you're really struggling to do that. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because I have a couple of people I've talked to. They're like, I really want to do this morning routine, something really simple, but I'm really having a hard time sticking to it. One person wants to do some yoga and some journaling. Another person wants to do some exercise and some meditation. So just a couple of things. And they want to basically start on their morning routine about an hour before they get into having to do their work. So let's say you wanted to start work at 8, you wake up at 7, start a morning routine, meditate and do some exercise or vice versa, maybe a little bit of journaling, and then you get into work. And they really struggle to stick to that. When we get up, maybe we press the snooze button, maybe we get up and we just get on our phone and start checking the news or email or social media, whatever it is that we would normally do, and we just kind of do something that's like easy, maybe comforting, but not moving us in a direction that we want to go in, and maybe not the best thing for our mental and emotional health, maybe not the best thing that's going to help us with having a productive day or being in a good mood. And so these morning routines have a good reason, but they're hard to stick to. So if that's you, we're going to get into that in this video. So let's look at what's getting in the way before we look at like how to actually address that. So the first thing that's getting in the way is when you first start, you're in a mental state that doesn't have you wanting to do the exercise, the meditation, the journaling, yoga. So you're in a mental state. And so part of it is, you've just woken up and um, maybe you're a little bit tired or groggy. So that's a part of it, but a lot of times, even if you'd woken up 2 hours earlier, a lot of times you'll still be in a mental state where you're just not really feeling like tackling something hard or boring or stressful or overwhelming. And so we delay the start of that. And the mental state is something just like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do something really hard right now. I'm feeling a little bit, like that's a little bit too hard for me. And so that's one thing. And related to that mental state is that we are not really feeling motivated. It's hard to overcome that mental state and get started. But why do we want to do it? It's like this thing that in our mind, in that moment, it just feels like something that we should do. So, like doing something that you should do, but that's going to be hard. There's not really a big reason to do it. It's hard to actually motivate yourself to overcome the hurdle of that mental state. Related to all of these is also that there's some fear involved. We don't usually know that there's fear, but there usually is. It's usually like, oh, this is too hard, and like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if this is going to be worth it. I don't know. These are fears. Is this going to be worth it? Is maybe what the fear is about. So we're afraid it's not going to be worth it. We're going to do all this hard work, and it's just going to be a waste of time. So there's like a fear of like pointlessness, fear of whether we can actually handle the overwhelm or the hard work or the boringness or whatever it is. So these are fears. Fears related to the mental state, which doesn't have you wanting to do it, and then the motivation. There's lack of motivation to actually do this. So when you look at all of these things, what it's like having the field slanted, the ball is going to be rolling to one side. So we are right now, the field is slanted so that we will not do the morning routine. Um, and by the way, if you're playing, let's say, a soccer game and the field is slanted in one direction, guess who's going to have an easier time? The side that's going downhill. So you're going to have an easier time going to your social media, your email, your news, all the things that you would just like, I'm too tired. And what we see here is a little microcosm of our entire day. Maybe the entire day the field is slanted that way. Not necessarily though. So one of the people I talked to, they go to work and they're actually really productive at work. And that's because their their work is set up to have them actually do the work, even if it's, hard, stressful, overwhelming, boring, tiring, all of that kind of stuff. So those things are still there when they get to work, but the field is slanted the other way to have them actually do the work. And when we look at their work, it's like, well, it's a workplace full of people who are super productive. There's accountability because if you don't do it, you have to, let people know that you didn't do it. You can't just like be scrolling on your phone or watching TV when you're at work because people will see it. Um, and you're much more motivated because you're on a team of people who are like really working hard and excited about what they're doing, and they've got a mission and there's a purpose. And so, and you're supported to actually do the work. Whereas if you are doing the work at home on your own, you're kind of on your own. And so you can see from these elements of the workplace that the field is slanted the other way to have them do their work. So, how do we actually apply that kind of idea of which way the field is slanted so that we can actually do the morning routine? Or maybe it's an evening routine where you actually want to like be doing a side project or some yoga to wind down or whatever it is that you want to do in the evening. It could be actually any time of day, but we're looking at right now just a morning routine of a couple of things, right? That's going to take less than an hour. So maybe some journaling and reflection, some meditation, maybe a little bit of exercise. So how do we actually do that? Well, I'm going to give you some examples that are not what I'm suggesting, but just to show how we could tilt the field the other direction. And one of them is, let's say you were a part of an exercise group. You go to a class and, spin class, for example, or a yoga class, or, a bar class, a, CrossFit class. If you go there, you're much more likely to do some exercise if you've paid for the class and you're there in the class and everyone else is doing it, and you're going to look like an idiot if you're just sitting there scrolling on your phone. So an exercise class will tilt the field the other way. You're going to be motivated. You're going to overcome all of the stresses, right? So I'm not saying you need to join an exercise class, although that's definitely an idea. If you wanted to work out at home, though, that doesn't quite fit. But we can see how that would work, right? Another example, if you want to meditate, if you are part of a meditation group and you go to the meditation center and everybody else is there is meditating and they're not on their phone. In fact, there's a culture in the meditation center where no one uses their phones. No one's doing anything. We're not talking. We're not, sleeping. We're sitting there and we're meditating during this 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it would be. And so, I'm not saying you need to join a meditation group in order to meditate, although that's always a good idea. But if you want to meditate at home, you have to find another way to do the same kinds of things. So how do we actually apply these ideas to doing our morning routine at home when we don't have a group of people around us, holding us accountable, seeing that we're scrolling on our phones or watching TV? Well, structure and motivation would be two of the things that I would talk about. So the first thing is motivation. So why do you want to do this morning routine? Is it just because it would be nice, or it feels like it would be a good thing to do, or something you should do? Well, those are not sufficient to overcome your mental state and fears, your resistance. So it would be nice. It's like, yeah, it would be nice to be meditating in the morning or, journaling or exercise. That would be a nice thing, right? It sounds good to do. Well, when you are, waking up at 7 a.m. and you are hit by the fears, the lack of motivation, your mental state in that moment, it would be nice is not sufficient, because it also would be nice to just get on your phone and relax. So it would be nice is not enough. It sounds like a good thing to do, also is not enough. I should do it also is not enough of a motivation. It feels like something I should do. Well, why? Well, because I don't know, I should. It's something you should do. Well, if that's the extent of your motivation, of your reason, then when it comes to those things and that at that point in time, you're not going to actually overcome your resistance and your mental state. Now, if you had a bigger reason, like, oh my God, if I do this, I'm going to have an amazing day and this is going to serve the mission that I'm on and it's going to like light me up and have me on fire for the day and I'm going to actually have an impact on the world, which is what I've always wanted, and I'm going to help people. You can see that there's a big difference between, oh, I should or it would be nice, and what I just said. There's a big like fire under you that makes you want to like, this is amazing. I'll give you another example. Something that a teacher of mine gave me, which is if you're a parent and let's say your kid needs some food, but it's going to take some work and it's hard, but your kid's hungry, right? Are you going to overcome the stress, the hard work, the boringness of having to go to the store, get some food, prepare it for them and serve it to them? Are you going to do that? And the answer, as every parent knows, is of course I'm going to do that. There's no question. And so if you have a motivation like that, you're going to overcome your resistance. So find that motivation and write it down. And in the mornings, read that motivation so that you know why this matters. Send yourself an alert when you first wake up that says, here's why you're doing it. And it should be something that is going to get you to that point and overcome your resistance. It could be because this is going to matter to my kids. That's how it got me to quit smoking, was this is going to matter to my wife and my kids. So that is sufficient motivation for me. So you have to find the sufficient motivation. The last thing I'm going to say is about structure. What's the kind of structure that's going to hold you to your commitment? You're committed to doing this morning routine, but what's the structure? Do you have some kind of accountability group or a coach or another person you're accountable to? Are you going to text them after you're done so that you can see that? Or are you going to do some kind of app where you check in with others? Or maybe it's a thread in Telegram or WhatsApp where you're, or text messages where you're texting people an accountability group every day. Maybe you have a commitment, if you don't do the thing, you're going to pay $100 to the political candidate you don't like. Now imagine if that was your commitment. You had to check in every day after your morning routine and donate this money to the person you don't like. Well, you're much more likely to overcome your resistance. So that's an example of structure. Now it doesn't have to be those particular things, but what would be the structure that's going to serve you, that's going to have you overcome the state that you're in, the fears and the resistance? It could be, I've used another one where I have to record myself singing and I'm going to post it to YouTube or post it to this this accountability group, the video of me singing. So I'm like, nope, that's not happening. And so therefore, I am going to do whatever I have to do to make this happen. So find the structure that works for you, find the motivation that works for you, practice it, and actually see if it works. And if it doesn't, then adjust those two things. That's what I've got for you today. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment below, and I would love to hear from you. Bye, everybody.